What's happening, Goob Gang? It's your boy Goob, back with another video today. And in this video, we're going to be taking a deeper look at the new Mobius driver that came on variant Lucifer. So this is a new driver that also has a bearing in it, very similar to the bearing driver. So today, I really wanted to test these two drivers and see which one is better, because both of these drivers seem like they are very good for stamina, specifically for opposite spin battles, in which the battle usually ends with two Beyblades spinning very slowly, also known as life after death, which is basically just when the Beyblade's barely spinning and it's pretty much just leaning on the other Beyblade. So I really just want to see if this is like the new replacement for bearing in competitive, or if it's not quite as good, or maybe it just has a different use. The focus will be whether this thing is better for stamina than bearing. So the first thing I want to discuss is just the structure of both of these drivers. So as you can tell, the new driver, the Mobius driver, is a little bit taller and is definitely more bulky than the bearing driver. Looking at the tips of both drivers, this one is definitely flatter than the original bearing driver and has that little indent in the middle, which gives it like a pointed tip, which on bearing just kind of is just one smooth piece. There's no indent anywhere, and the bearing driver is not quite as flat. We're gonna check the weight of these two drivers. I don't know if this is like a big deal really, but I just want to do it anyways because some people might care. So bearing is 6.22 grams, 7.66, so it's about 1 gram heavier, which like isn't huge, but it's definitely a difference. The last thing, structure-wise, we need to talk about is the spring. So bearing is notorious for having one of the worst springs, if not the worst spring, out of any driver, which makes Beyblades more prone to bursting. This driver definitely isn't as bad. I don't know like on like a spectrum of how bad it is, but it's definitely better than bearing, which I can show you guys right now on variant Lucifer. You can kind of hear the clicks, all right? But then on with bearing, you can tell they're just quieter because it's just not as strong. So the tightness of the spring, it really isn't a big deal, because the focus of this video is to talk about the stamina uses of this, you know, specifically opposite spin matches where you probably won't be bursted even with bearing. So with the focus on stamina, I really don't think the spring part is a big deal, but it is just something that's like there that I figured I should still discuss. Now, based on pure structure, I would say that the Mobius driver is actually a little bit better for life after death. The driver is more flat, which is just going to be better because theoretically it should stay up longer and be able to kind of lean up against the other Beyblade easier than like a driver that has more of an angled tip, if that makes sense. We are going to test this right now because I really want to see if there is like a clear driver that is better for opposite spin stamina, basically like the ultimate stamina driver. So let's get started. We're going to do some test battles, starting out with these two drivers going head to head, basically two different combos which will be swapped so we can really tell which one seems better when they go up against each other. And after that, we'll have them be on the same Beyblade going up against some other combo. So we got two Beyblades here. One has Mobius, one is bearing. Now, I want you guys to just like ignore the combos. It really doesn't matter what parts I'm using for this test, because we're gonna swap them so that it's like a fair test for the drivers specifically. So don't worry about like the parts that I gave these are kind of just random. So we have typical Cho-Z Spriggan 0 wall bearing, and then for Mobius this is just Hell Salamander 7 wall Mobius. So this is in right spin, this is in left spin, obviously. So we're gonna do 5 matches with Mobius on Hell Salamander, and then we'll switch it and see if it makes any difference. So I didn't even launch Hell Salamander like hard, and it still is going wild because of how flat the driver is. But you're gonna see here at the end, it's gonna take the spin most likely. There we go. And it really is similar to bearing in my opinion. Okay, so that was definitely Cho-Z Spriggan. So 1 point to bearing for this. Okay, so that time it was clearly Hell Salamander. And as you can tell when they stop, I noticed that Mobius seems to be on top because it's a little bit taller, which I think is a good thing for Mobius. We're gonna hard launch them one round. So Mobius seems to be a little unpredictable because sometimes it acts very calm and other times it just goes crazy, and that was a hard launch too, so I thought it was gonna be going more wild. Versus bearing is like pretty much your standard stamina driver, I feel like, in the way it acts. Okay, it was Cho-Z Spriggan that time, so it's 2-1 now. And this time, Hell Salamander ended up on the bottom, like underneath Cho-Z Spriggan, so I don't know if the height's actually making a difference. Alright, here we go. I feel like that one was a draw. So Mobius has like this ability to kind of stall out the battle, which can be good or bad, I feel like. Because, I don't know, I feel like it has the potential of getting burst or something like that with that extra like aggressiveness, or it could like self KO potentially. However, I think that'd be unlikely. Ooh, I feel like Hell Salamander kind of took that one, but I don't know. That was almost a draw again. Okay, so those were light launches. I would say when you light launch Mobius, it's usually going to act more like a typical stamina type. Let's see if it's going to win. I would say Mobius won that one. So far, it's very close. I don't know if I could really say like one is definitely better than the other one, but like they're definitely different so far. You know, Mobius is much more aggressive because of how flat it is. But it's still a driver that can be used in opposite spin stamina matches despite it having like that aggressive aspect of it. So let's swap the combos now, because that's what we're gonna do to see if like the combo changes anything. Ooh, I think Spriggan had like one extra rotation there. So it's 1-0 Mobius in the lead. So I launched pretty light that time. You don't really need to launch super hard for this test. I think that one was just a draw. Okay, so a little bit weird spin pattern by Mobius. It was like chilling and then it just started going around. stalling out. I don't know if it's gonna be good or bad for it, honestly. I think Mobius so far seems like just more unpredictable, which could be not a good thing. Oh, okay, I think it actually took that though. So score is 2-0 now. I feel like this combo for like Hell Salamander is just not the greatest. Alright, taking spin. Okay, that was definitely Spriggan. So I think Mobius won this battle for sure, and the other one, it like was really close, but it pretty much won. Based on this testing, I would say Mobius is a little bit better for LAD purposes. But now I want to test it in like a more typical battle situation where it's just going up against another combo. I think we're going to use this combo actually though for the test, because I think this is pretty good. And we'll switch it to bearing after for that. So these combos that I'm using are straight from Beyblades.com, which is like a new website that talks a lot about like competitive Beyblading and stuff. So this is the combo I'll be using. This is Lord Spriggan 0 Cross Extend Plus. So this is a opposite spin combo, and we're going to be using it in both directions for this battle, I think. So going up against Cho-Z Spriggan, 0 Wall Mobius. This is in right spin, this is in left spin. Oh, that was a missed launch. That was... Alright, let's see how Mobius does. Ooh, that was really close. I'm just gonna call it a draw. Ooh, I think Cho-Z Spriggan took that just by a little bit. So the score is 1-0. I don't know. That was really close. It was like Lord Spriggan looked like it was going down, and then all of a sudden it like had another kind of like rotation on the side. I'll just call it a draw. Another draw. I'm gonna try attack. So I put Lord Spriggan in attack mode for the driver, just because I wanted to see if that made a difference at all. It's gonna give it like a little more height. Draw. This is just endless draws. Let's try to change the spin. So we'll put this one in right spin, and we'll put this one in left spin. The driver is back to stamina mode on Lord Spriggan. Draw. Okay, I feel like this is going to go the same exact way the other spin direction went, so let's just change Mobius to bearing now. Alright. So as you can tell, bearing is a little bit shorter. You can see that it's like matching the height of Lord Spriggan now, as before it was like a little bit above it. Ooh, I think that Lord Spriggan took that just by like a hair. Draw. Draw. I mean, I really can't even tell. Alright, so I want to make some sort of conclusion about these drivers, but it's really hard because they're very similar. Even though like Mobius is much more aggressive, they just feel so similar to me. Like they really do. Especially when it comes down to those life after death battles, these two drivers seem to act almost exactly the same, and I think it's really going to depend on what combo you're running with the driver. Like there might be some combos that are better with bearing and some combos that are better with Mobius. The only conclusion I can come to is that Mobius can be better than bearing, I think, as I felt like when I did the first testing with the two random combos going up against each other, Mobius was seeming to do a little better because that like little bit of height I think helps in the life after death battles to get like above the other Beyblade a little bit. But that doesn't always happen, so it's really hard to say which one is actually better. I wouldn't say this is like a clear-cut win for Mobius, but I do think this driver is really impressive and you should not underestimate it because it has a lot of life after death. I want to know which driver you guys think is better in the comment section below, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.